Welcome to the Joystick Frequency. It's a video game podcast that doubles as a video game book club. We are now quarterly instead of every month, so we got a nice big batch of games to talk to you about this time. But instead of doing the usual spill where we talk about each other's months, I'm just going to ask how y'all doing today. Joining me are my co-hosts, Walker.
Hey.
It sounds like he's doing great, and Brady.
Sorry, I was taking a sip of my alcohol. I'm alive.
So if you're wondering why we're going to be sounding a bit rough here, guys, it is Election Day Tuesday, and we're feeling great.
It is
but
currently
anyway,
7:18 Central Time, and I am wanting to throw myself out my window.
I'm wanting to throw up. Does that count?
Yeah, that's more apt. But hey, happy face time, happy voice time. Hey,
to be fair, if I didn't live on the first floor, I might want to throw myself out a window. Video games?
Video games. They're a constant in my life that won't change. Yeah, I played them. I played some.
How are you doing, Trent? Before we start talking video games, how are you?
Honestly, I was going to go into it a bit. I've started working out with a friend of ours, and it's provided me less time for video games, but overall, like, my mental health, I think, is going up with it. So you won't hear very many new things, but I'm going I just started this, so I'm going to be trying to settle into a schedule where I can actually keep playing games at the consistency that I normally do as well, and see if we can have more to discuss whenever the podcast comes around. But that's enough about my personal spiel. What about you guys? Any other life updates you want to throw out there by chance?
I've been fucking busy. It feels like my entire social calendar is getting booked out like crazy over the past few months. I ended up traveling to New York pretty recently here for a week, so lots of gaming time cut out. But honestly, like doing pretty decent. Don't have as many hours in Zelda as I would like to. Big sad fat tear rolling down my cheek right now. What about you, Brady?
Shit's been wild. Very, very busy. Couple of months. Like Walker, I have also been traveling. I just got back from a week-long trip to Chicago for a work conference, which was very fun, very windy, very chilly, and also left me a week's worth of work to take care of when I got back, which is just a lovely thing when you take off time.
Hell yeah.
On the bright side, I know we're all looking forward to this weekend because we're all joining up and grouping together with the rest of our D&D friends for Renfest.
Yes, let's go.
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to it.
Camping out the whole weekend.
Getting out there extra early, locking down the campground.
I'm dying for a fucking, Scotch egg? Oh my God.
High energy tonight, folks. Yeah, we're feeling it.
So, Trent, now that we've got a little bit of an insight into what your personal life's like, what has your video game life been like?
All right, so I'm gonna quickly go over the consistent games that I play. So I've been playing my gacha game, Nike, Goddess of Victory, where it's a gacha game. So of course you're thinking, oh, he plays it for the girls, but that's not exactly why I play it. It is a bonus, obviously, but Nike actually has a very good story to it, and I've gotten into it more and been now that I've like gotten higher power, I've been able to go through more of the story, and I honestly would love to recommend this to other people, but it's like such a time consumption, as well as like you have to get some of your friends aren't like into it as you are and stuff like that, so it's one of those games that's like, it's a guilty pleasure game because yeah, the girls look great, but at the same time I'm like, oh my God, I like the story because like it's really good and it's all depressing, which makes me think that there's going to be something great at the end. But like it's almost like Game of Thrones where you have like moments of hope for certain characters and then shit hits the fan. They don't necessarily die, but like it goes down. So other than that, been playing or I played for a bit this quarter. Destiny 2, I kept with it for a bit, but I probably haven't played it in about a month now, as the first season after the final shape dropped. I played through a bit of it, but it was like it felt a little stale, and I needed time for other things, so I felt like I should probably drop it. Now that the new season Revenant's out, I'll come back to it at some point, probably within the next like couple weeks, just to come back in and get it, because I paid for the year expansion, the year of expansions, so like it's content I can just go back to whenever I feel like it. So I'm planning on approaching that at some point. And then the last one, I usually get a fit of League of Legends playing around the time that their World Championship happens, which just finished this past weekend, where Faker won his freaking 5th title in 11 years. Insane. Shout out to Faker if he listens to this. But yeah, so I'm playing my normal League of Legends with actually my gym partner, and me play it a lot, so that covers like most of the consistent games that I play, and then I'll go over the other ones probably after one of these guys hits you with a couple of theirs.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it or not, I haven't really been doing a ton of like general gaming. I've been pretty much focused up on 1 or 2 games at a time here, and I will circle around to a couple of the big hitters, but to give you kind of a general vibe with it going into like finally clicking over into the autumn season, despite it not feeling like it where we're at. I wanted to get into the spooky vibe, so I tried to play a couple of more slightly spooky related games. So I have dipped my toe into FromSoft's Bloodborne, which is kind of a Lovecraftian inspired Souls-like game in like I don't know really how best to describe it. It's dark, it's grim, it's gothic. It has a really fun weapon system where each of your weapons are trick weapons, and basically what that means is you have one kind of close-ranged move set that works with this weapon really nicely and combos together with a more long-range version of the weapon that you can seamlessly transition between by just clicking L1 on the controller, and you'll do like an attack out of it and switch into like an alternate like move set. Very, very cool. I've been enjoying it so far. It also has a rally system, which means that when you take damage in the game, if you are able to deal enough damage back, you can earn your health back, which I think is very fun. It encourages much more like frantic style game of like fighting, where you take a hit, you slap back a couple of times, then you run away and heal if you need to. It has definitely a different feel, but also a very similar feel to some of the Elder Souls-likes I've played, unsurprisingly coming from the king of Souls games. But that's been an absolute blast. But seeing as I'm not super far into it as at this point, I don't want to go too much further in, because I like it so far, but obviously that opinion can change as we move further in. But also along the spooky lines, literally last night, my partner and I, we cracked open Crow Country, which was a game that came out earlier this year. Has a very like heavily inspired from the classic era of Resident Evil, you know, top down or like 3/4 view, not necessarily top down. Very like, it's trying hard to emulate those old PS1, PS2 style graphics, and it leans really, really hard into kind of this analog horror as your main character is going through and exploring a abandoned theme park, which has been abandoned for reasons we're not fully sure of, aside from an accident. Dun dun dun. It's been great so far, super thematic. We've only played for like an hour and a half, but we've been spooked a fair number of times, and I'm enjoying it. I'm looking forward to playing a little bit more.
I'll talk. I'm in a position right now where I have started a couple of games that came out recently that I haven't really finished. So I'll lightly touch on those. First is Metaphor ReFantazio, which is a game that came out recently from the same people who made Persona. And that should tell you a lot about the game, because Metaphor ReFantazio is just Persona, but if instead of a modern school kid, you were a medieval fantasy character person. Literally, I skipped all the tutorials because the controls and the aesthetics and the mechanics were very, very similar to playing Persona 5. Some of the actual stuff in the game is different, like the combat and the magic systems are significantly different in, I think, a good way. I kind of like the new system better than the Persona system. You can train multiple different, they're called archetypes at the same time with different abilities. But I'm not very far into it, barely gotten started. If Persona is anything to go by, I probably still have 90% of the game left. I've only spent like 10 hours in it, so
90%, bud. That's lowballing it.
yeah, that is a little bit actually. It's a Persona game. This will be the rest of my life.
Oh yeah, God, you remind me. I haven't finished P3 Reloaded yet. Oh God.
Metaphor Refantasio, good so far. Positive reviews so far. The other game that I've started that I haven't finished yet is called Dragon Age: The Veilguard, which came out very, very recently, and it has been all I've been playing since it came out. I've been a huge Dragon Age fan since Origins. I didn't play it when it first came out, but that was the first one I played. And just generally a big old BioWare game fan too. So very much a nostalgia game for me. Went in expecting it to be a little bit different from the previous entries because I'd seen a lot of the discussion around it. And that is correct. This does play a little bit different. I'm still having a lot of fun with the game. It's set in the same world. It's just not this. It's more of an action game than a strategy RPG, which is kind of what Inquisition was leading to the previous entry in the franchise. And I know a lot of people are less than enthusiastic about that change, but I think it works better for the game that they made than the strategy. It meshes really well with the story they're telling, the combat system, which I think is a good sign in a game.
Would you recommend it for first-time Dragon Age players? Because I've had a couple of the Dragon Age games downloaded on my Xbox for a little bit now. Origins and Inquisition, I think. And haven't had a chance to boot them yet. So what would you recommend starting with?
Here's the problem.
Yo.
If you play Dragon Age: The Veilguard, you will get spoilers for the earlier Dragon Age games.
Gotcha.
A lot of the characters in Veilguard show up in previous games. There are multiple companions that show up in previous games. One of the primary villains of this game is a major player-friendly character in a previous version, in a previous Dragon Age entry. So it's
interesting.
Yeah, no, it's very fun. So yeah, it's if you aren't planning to go back and play the original 3, weirdly enough, I say yes, it's fine to start with this one. I think you can get a pretty good entry into the franchise, into the world, and it's kind of pretty. You don't need the backstory; it just adds flavor to the story, if that makes sense.
Right, right.
But it will ruin it if you want to go back and play the previous games.
Oh, okay.
So if you just want to start from here and move forward, then yes, it's a great place to start. If you ever plan on playing the previous entries in the franchise, go play those first.
Interesting. Okay, good to know.
I want to ask, because I know the previous, most recent entry, other than Veilguard, is more than a decade old at this point.
Yeah.
Have you gone back and played them recently? And do they hold up well? Like, is it worth going through any sort of technical troubles to play those 3 before Veilguard? Do you know?
Here, I don't know how to be objective when I answer this question. Because yes, they are absolutely worth playing. If you don't have... Dragon Age Origins is an incredibly well-written game. It has one of the best stories. It was BioWare's heyday, and their penchant for making really great story-based games that legend is based partially on Dragon Age Origins and the first Mass Effect and a lot of their really strong character-driven story games. The graphics are bad and the mechanics are bad in Origins.
Oh, shit.
They're not awful, but it was like a 2007 game. man, what do you expect?
Right.
It's gonna age. Dragon Age Inquisition I did play, which is the most recent one. I played actually earlier this was another game I played since we last spoke. Specifically because the new one was coming out, and it holds up a little bit better. It's how do I put it? If you like open world and exploration games, very much holds up and looks great and plays great. The story is very great. The only thing about Dragon Age Inquisition is the same problem it had when it released, which is just there's too much open world, too much shit in the game, and it just
it's like collectible wise, like there's just
too
many things
there's some
around.
collectibles. There's a lot of map to explore, and it's real fun for the first like 3 areas you go to, but there's like 20 different areas for you to do massive map explorations in.
I see. Okay.
They added too much content to the game, and it got boring with the repetitive gameplay loop after the first 90 hours.
Wow, my game has too much content.
If you're not a completionist that is compelled to complete everything before you move on to the next thing, it's an incredible game. I can't move on until
when you said that.
I
think we all are. That's not.
Yeah.
That's recently. I mean, that's kind of why I, in more recent years, have been more pushing towards like indie games in general.
Mm-hmm.
I like smaller, more contained experiences because I'm compelled to do every single thing that game offers. And with a smaller, more like compact experience, I can do 5 of those in the time it takes me to do one Baldur's Gate 3. Right? I can do like 50 in the time it takes me to do one Baldur's Gate 3. Like it. But I can't complain because there's also games like Baldur's Gate 3 that are fucking incredible. Yeah. So it's this weird mix, and I mean there's a game coming up that we're going to talk about here that I think hits it kind of perfectly.
I think I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll loop back around to that though.
But yeah, I would say I think the more I think about it, the more I would recommend playing Origins and Dragon Age 2 and Inquisition.
And Mass Effect.
And Mass Effect. I get
not Anthem.
Not Anthem. It's an unrelated. Very fun games. Very good BioWare games that I kind of want to go play now. But
we got a show to do, folks.
We have a show to do. Speaking of Baldur's Gate 3, though, that is another game that I've been playing since we last spoke. Specifically because the console version released mods. So I don't have to fuck with Nexus or anything. I can just open the game and put mods on it.
How does that handle so far?
It's really easy to do on console. They made it really simple to add and adjust your mods, which I love. And I've been having fun with everyone in my party at all times. I've been having fun changing my classes around. Not a lot. There's only a few class mods out. They're being very particular about what they approve to put on the store, which I respect. It means your game won't crash out, but it also means it takes a while for them to get stuff.
No big naturals withers.
No, a lot of other like aesthetic mods, like lots of facial shape changes, hair colors, eye colors. They added. There's one new race that you can play as.
Okay.
It's a race that is already in the game.
Is it Cobalt?
What is? I need you both to give me a guess. Are you guessing Cobalt, Walker?
If it's Cobalt, I will be very happy.
Okay.
I know there's a Cobalt mod.
My guess is Bugbear.
Wrong to both of you. It is the Kuatoa, the fish people.
Oh, fish man.
Wow,
fish
really?
lad.
Really? They also have a lot of like vampire mods and stuff too. Because
Oops, all Kuatoa incoming.
oops, all fish.
See, I do really want to get a multiplayer game going, but I know that the multiplayer ones will take so much longer. But like of our D&D crews, if we could recreate some of the builds, it would be.
Oh man!
Like, yeah.
Yeah, that would be fun.
But the issue then is the DM gets left out, or the DM just picks their favorite.
Oh no,
the
then I
DM
just pick an NPC character and I'm tagging along.
He plays Deluge.
I'm
play
playing,
Baron.
I'm playing on the Robard. What? They don't have Warforged in this? Fuck.
Anyway.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I've been. Other than the big games I've been playing, that's what I've been doing.
I'll say real quickly. I'm going to jump back in with one kind of smaller one that I just looked over. It doesn't fall into the like the spooky range of games that I was speaking of here, but quite the opposite actually. Fields of Mistra, a Stardew Valley like farming sim, with inspirations from classics like Sailor Moon and a lot of 90s anime, in like an art style especially, has been an absolute gem of game to play in the absence of the Stardew Valley console update that's happening this week. Actually, it just came out, so I'll probably end up doing that later. But it's kind of found its way, like wormed its way into that little part of me that really wants a cozy game to just get, like, relax, play a little bit of this, and, you know, enjoy life for a little bit. Very fun farming system. It's got some magic elements built into the game that can help you, recover energy or recover, like, cause rain to water all your crops for the day so you can spend your time doing other things. It's got a very, like, snappy day system. So the days are very, very fast, and it encourages you to, like, sprint all around like a maniac. All the characters are super, super cute. The only, like, major holdback that I have with it is that there's a couple things that aren't fully released yet because it's still in its early beta stage. So, for example, there's a dungeon called the Mines where you can only get down to a certain level in the mines instead of being able to go all the way. So you can't, like, complete all your encyclopedia entries, which hurts that little completionist soul in me. But we'll get there eventually with time. So I am looking forward to more updates for that as they release. But I just want to kind of slam that in there because I don't know where else it would fit in with the rest of this discussion here. So,
all right. Before we move on to, like, the new games we've, like, kind of, like, or at least the main portion of it, I do want to go over a couple of the games that we brought up last time just to see if, like, we finish them, to see if what y'all think. And by all means, if you didn't go back to it, don't worry about it then. But Brady, did you end up going back to that Capes game?
No, I did not end up going back to it. I haven't gotten back around.
Oh, lost in the wind.
What about Space Marine?
Space Marine, I did end up finishing that, and I've been playing it a little bit since we last talked. Still a fantastic game. I have nothing but good things to say about it. I want to make Tyranids blow up with my chainsaw sword. I don't know what to tell you.
From what I've seen of, like, the videos of it, it really just captures, like, that Gears of War Horde mode or a Black Ops Zombies, like, feel of a game where you literally just want to go in just to shoot at things, blow stuff up. Very Helldivers-esque.
Yeah. No, very much that vibe to it. Although it does have some interesting, like, I played a little bit of the PvP stuff where it's almost like a 4v4 match instead of the Horde mechanics. But that's also fun because you get reskinned as Chaos Marines instead of Space Marines.
I'm going to pose to you the same question that I posed to you just a few minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to 40k stuff, is this a good place to jump in?
This is a great place to jump in.
Even though it has a 2 in the name?
Yes.
Okay.
Couple things about Space Marine, or Warhammer in general. Warhammer is just, there's so much to it that there's no, like, starting point to jump into. It's all kind of just massive and evolving and constantly adding things to it. Like, there are probably 20, 30 small games on Steam related to 40k. And another fun thing about 40k is that the vibe is more important than the actual story.
That's fair.
Like, there's not a story to 40k because it's like a tabletop game. You don't want actual events to happen. You just want a vibe and a setting. so that people can always have a justification for their armies to be fighting each other, constant state of war, whatever. But yeah, so it's there's not like a story for you to get. As long as you kind of get the general vibe and kind of understand the setting, you're good to jump in. And I think Space Marine 2 is a good kind of introduction. There is some fun stuff if you know generally the story in Space Marine 1, but I would kind of equate it to Doom, and that you kind of just have a general idea of what your character does, and then you go kill. And you don't really need to know the previous stuff to know that you must kill.
Fair. Okay, cool. The main reason I ask is, A, the game looks really, really fun. I've seen several videos of just, probably super early on in the game, the first major, like, horde rush of enemies. It looks like a blast.
It's a very good game.
And then I've also been getting the spare lore video coming across my feed, and that's been fun.
And from Walker, from your games that you brought last week, I want to bring this one up because I recently heard that it's either already has a sequel or is getting one. So, did you ever finish the Case of the Golden Idol?
Oh, no, not yet. But we have played a couple more cases in it. It's still been a blast. I really have been enjoying these, like, it's almost, it is, it's not almost, it is. It's a point and click game. But it's very deductive, and a lot of it's like logic and how the game works, and you're piecing together like, oh, well, this person's name must be this because they're carrying, this specific item on, or this guy had 43 pence on him, which is what this note said this guy would have. So it's got to be this guy. But that guy may have actually lost that money in a wager on the card table downstairs. It's a bunch of like kind of linear logic puzzles, just kind of stacked on top of each other. It's been a blast. I am excited to keep going through on that one. And I play one of the chapters every now and then, and it's been a ton of fun. I did see that it was going to get a sequel. When was that announced? Was that it was a little bit ago, but yeah, I saw it come across my feed. Looks fun. I'm excited to see what else happens. It scratches a similar itch to games like Outer Wilds, in that like the joys in the discovery and figuring things out. Obviously, it's not Outer Wilds. Nothing will ever fucking be Outer Wilds again, and my life is worse off for it. But it is capturing a little bit of that. Has anyone else picked it up yet? Checked it out?
I have not.
I can't say that I have.
Oh, y'all would enjoy it, I think.
I know it's on, or at least last time I checked, it's been a couple weeks since I turned on my Xbox, so last time I checked it was on Game Pass, so.
Yeah, I believe it still is.
Alright, and then one that I brought up last time that I had just started, and I'll go into a little bit more here, is Vampire Survivors.
Hey buddy, how's that going?
I had a fucking streak of going through playing Vampire Survivors. Every night that I got home, I would throw it on and bullet hell for a solid 2.5 hours, unlocking everything I could and getting every achievement in the base game. I eventually got to the point where it's like, you have to purchase the DLC, and I'm like, DLC is another 80-something achievements or something like that, and I'm like, I think I've had enough Vampire Survivors for a while. I'll come back to this, and because I had started seeing, I had a very standard weapon setup that I would go to, and so I started seeing, I would look at the screen as the weapons were going away, and then I'd look away and I'd be able to see that pattern continuing on the white wall next to me. So I'm like, I might be playing this a little much. But it was so fun. I love the aspect or the idea of it starts out as a bullet hell and you're just trying to survive, to eventually you get strong enough to where you are the bullet hell. And you are literally killing things before they register on screen. The Vampire Survivors spawns things slightly off screen for you, like a couple of units off screen. And there are certain builds you can do where you're killing things before they literally walk onto your screen, and you just see the gem drops and the item drops that they drop, and you're just instead just watching your weapons fire over and over again while you're standing in the center of it. With completing it, you get to the point where you kill the Grim Reaper himself, and I always like getting to that point because either you have enough damage that you just kill him outright really quickly, or you have to stall him and see how many Reapers spawn for you to be able to finally kill the first one. And there got to a point where it took me 7 minutes to kill a Reaper while I was sitting there kiting 7 Reapers on the screen at the same time before the first one finally dies. And once the first one dies, they all die. And then I got the actual White Reaper at the end. There's no way of killing you because it's literally in the code. Set max health equal to 0.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, there's no coming back from that, so...
Oh, well, good news is there's never a bad day for killing vampires, so keep that DLC on the shelf for a rainy day there.
That's another thing. They recently released a DLC, and for the first time since it came out, I think, unless I'm missing something, there are actual vampires in the game now. Or at least that was like the post or the tweet about it or something, because they did some sort of partnership with either Larian or Baldur's Gate, and they got Astarion in there, so.
Oh, nice.
Alright, so Trent, now that we've kind of gone over what we missed from last week, what have you been really playing since we last talked?
Okay, so I started and completed a game, and then I started another game, and have 40 hours in it, and I'm nowhere near completing it, so I want you to guess which one's which. One of them's Neon White, a speedrunning game, and the other one's Cyberpunk 2077.
Well, Cyberpunk 2077 took me about a month to finish, so I guess that one's the one you haven't done yet?
Yeah, that's the one I have 45 hours in already. But Neon White, I'm going to go over Neon White first, because this game came out last year, and it's essentially just a series of levels that you're trying to get the fastest time in, and there are certain like there are leaderboards and world records and stuff like that for it. So it scratches that itch of like, oh, I can be the best at this level out of my friends or in the world, or like just hit a certain rank, and you're like, I'm satisfied with that, and so you can keep replaying the level over and over again. I'm going to come out and say just flat out on the top, if I would have played this last year whenever it came out, it would have been my number 2 game on the list, beating out Baldur's Gate.
Wow.
Yeah, I love this game. Essentially, you're one of 100 demons that are given a task to try and seek retribution by killing other demons. Not the other 100 demons, but these like rogue demons that have invaded the place. And so basically you go through, it's a first-person platformer that you also get, like you pick up cards that give you certain weapons that you're able to either use it to shoot the enemies with the limited ammo that you get from the card, or you can discard the card to activate the weapon's second ability. And the second ability is always some sort of like traversal enhancement. So for instance, you run through, you pick up this pistol, and you're supposed to 3-tap the guy real quick, and you still have ammo in the gun, so now you discard the gun so that you get a double jump in the air. Or you pick up a sniper rifle that allows you to do a super long, quick dash. You get a shotgun that allows you to become a fireball that you can go omnidirectional for a brief second. And so you're running through these levels as quickly as possible. You have to kill all the demons before the end of every level, so that the checkpoint at the end unlocks, and so you grab the weapons and you're trying to discard them to get there, while also balancing having to use some of the ammo to take out the enemies as well. And it's a really good back and forth, and there are shortcuts and there are these ghosts you can unlock that will show you where the shortcuts are, and even then shaving off time becomes like, oh, you get happy whenever you shave off like half a second at some points. Once you hit a certain time, that little counter of remaining demons alive goes down by 1 for every level that you get, like, I believe it's the gold time in. And the counter will go down, and that progresses the story a bit, so that whenever you come to the hub world, where you can also... It's also kind of like it's not necessarily a dating sim, but it has that vibe to it. basically you come to the hub world and you get to talk to people and they interact with you and like talk to you based on events in the story and stuff like that. And you can give them gifts to get their appreciation meter of you up. And as you get that meter up, it unlocks bonus levels for them as well as like certain story beats for them. And you slowly start learning about your past and the memories that you've lost. Eventually, finally getting to the point where you'll be the last demon alive and having to take down, or no, not the last demon alive, but one of two, and you have to take down him in order to finish the game. I've also never seen like a game like this incorporate boss levels that actually feel like good and flow really well. And like if you can imagine like a speedrunning platform game and then having a boss that flies around all over the place that you have to like turn and take shots at while also traversing to get to certain areas, it's such an adrenaline rush. Like I literally just run through this game like a crackhead, discarding and shooting my weapon as much as I can, and it's a lot of fun.
I've heard nothing but like fun things about Neon White. It just seems to have kind of a similar nature to Vampire Survivors, and then it's like, oh, one more game, because you're constantly getting that like dopamine trigger of like, oh, I'm improving. I love stuff like that. It seems like it's really trying to like push the average person into like the speedrunning community a bit more, which is cool. I love to see it.
And the best part about this, instead of Vampire Survivors, if you play one more game, that game could go up to 30 minutes. This, every level, I think the longest level that I played is less than 5 minutes. And most levels are over within like a minute or less. So it's really fast-paced action that you just get through the level, try to get through the level as quickly as possible, and destroy all these demons. And as we've discussed already with like shooting things in Space Marines, and we brought up Doom at some point, just shooting things is fun.
I would agree. I mean, all right. Well, Brady, what do you have then? What's your next major game that you were playing a bunch here?
So I think the next game that I've played is a game we all kind of played, which is Dale and Dawson.
Ooh.
The Among Us crew has returned.
Yeah.
And this time it's not as serious.
No, it's actually sillier, and that's the high bar. Dale and Dawson is like an office-themed Among Us game, where instead of like doing tasks on a ship, you're filing documents or sending emails and stuff like that, going around a little virtual office, and you have slackers that are trying to throw people's coffee cups away or put viruses on computers and generally be unproductive. And you have a boss that can fire people or make someone an assistant manager. Very, very Among Us stuff. Very fun game to fuck around with a bunch of friends.
Absolutely. It definitely leads into like the role play aspect of just like office work, and just like basically you're playing in the office. And all the bullshit that can come from that. In the most recent game, one of our buddies discovered that the telephone works, and you can call other coworkers like at their desks and actually converse with them through the phone, which is fun just to bullshit around a little bit. And you can send emails to other players. The whole game works off of proximity chat. So obviously the closer you get to another person, the more you can actually hear them and interact with them. So it's just a giant setup for a joke, and the entire game just feels like a punchline.
It really inspires like you to role play during it and stuff. Like they even have like if you wanted to create public lobbies, like tags to create like safe for work or not safe for work role play. Yeah, you can get raunchy in this, and as much as I don't like enjoy that very often, just watching my friends I turn a corner and I see them both smacking each other's ass over and over again, and I just walk away. It's still funny and super fun.
Now that absolutely did happen. I cannot deny.
That happened often. Yeah, I had a lot of fun watching all this chaos happen, and then just going and sitting at my desk and sending emails.
Doing your normal day-to-day work life.
Doing what I do from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day.
But this one's captured
But
in a
this
little
one,
box.
while I'm listening to my friends sexually harass each other, so
And
it's
honestly,
a little more fun.
That's the American dream, isn't it?
That's the American dream.
Before we continue from Dale and Dawson, I want to really like capture more of it. So I want each of us to think of one of our like favorite games of that we played of it, and go into like a little bit of like detail about it, so that like we can just have a laugh. If either of you would like to start.
Criminy, you're asking me to remember a match. Oh no! Here, you start. You've obviously got an idea in hand.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
I had one.
go for it, buddy.
My favorite moment from when we were playing Dale and Dawson, I don't remember the whole game, but I do remember that it was coming down to like we were running low on time, and the slacker was probably going to win. And we had kind of gotten to the point, you know how sometimes you're actually trying to win and sometimes you're just messing around to have fun? We had gotten past the point where we were actually trying to win. We were just fucking around. And there's a way to vote out the boss. And we did that. We voted the boss out, and I was made the boss. And then again, with like 20 minutes left, the boss was the only person that had been fired. As everybody else was in, I went and fired a random person, and the game ended because it was Walker and he was the slacker.
Fucking.
Just absolute no reason for it. I just randomly shot in the dark, and that was the only time I've been boss, and I was boss for 5 minutes.
I had a chance, and you took it away from me.
And I took it away from you. And I took it away from myself, if I'm being honest.
Oh no. I'm trying to think back. I'm sorry that like I'm losing a lot of the details. There's a lot of joy just in being like one of the ghosts in the game and going around and like snooping in on other people's conversations. Maybe that's the introvert in me that's coming out a little bit there. But just being able to like fly around and like I remember hearing one of our buddies just talking absolute shit, and then like the next room over, the person who is the boss like going over details reports, just stupid shit like that. I'm trying to think. I know there was an instance where I set something on fire, or no, someone else set something on fire and I got pinned for it, which is bullshit. That's the one thing I've held on to from those matches. I'm so glad that's where my mind's at. You know what? I do remember Casa being the janitor and just fucking around the entire match, just glaring at us after being voted out first round.
I feel like that happens very often.
Oh, yeah.
It happened more than twice, yes.
That's probably why I remember it so well. Oh, man. It's just a fun, really fucking fun game.
One round that I remember specifically, and Brady will attest to this because he comes in a little bit at the end, but talking about how you can call certain people on the phone, and like their phone in their office will ring. I remember calling one of our friends, and I set up real world plans in the game over the phone with him. For like the next day, and Brady just leans back from his office one panel over. He's like, "Did you just call him just to set up real world plans in game?" And I was like, "Yeah." And Brady just goes, "Wild." Turns back around and continues on the computer. It's just a whole lot of like just awkward, stupid comedy like that. It's a real fun game. I suggest like if you have a big group of friends. Play it.
All right. Walker, did you have a game that you kind of got into a little bit more?
Yeah, I had a couple of them. I'll kind of keep both of them fairly brief, because I've got 4 more games listed down here. I think both of y'all only have one left. So
my one left is also one we're going to talk about together. So.
Yeah. So let me speed run a couple more games here. One of the games that I haven't gotten as deep into as I would like to have has been Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, which is wild for me, but I've just been crazy busy elsewhere. this game has been an absolute joy. So the main mechanic of it is Zelda's the protagonist of this one. Let's go. So she doesn't run around fighting in like the traditional Zelda way. Sword and shield and bow and running around doing all that mad Link stuff. No, she got the brain, and she's got a wand, and what she does is she goes around copying what are called echoes of things, and basically certain items in the game can be added to your inventory that you can create at any given time, and each of these has like a cost associated with them, and so you can only place so many of them at the time. I think when the game starts you have 3 little like charges that you can use on any specific item. Some things cost 1 charge, 2 charge, 3 charge, so on and so forth. And this game does a really clever bait and switch, because most of the marketing leading up to it was like, oh, you can place a bed and like use the fact that it covers 2 blocks to span like what would normally be an impassable gap, or you can place a couple of crates so you can like jump your way up and get higher up than you normally would. This game is about throwing rocks at monsters until they die, capturing them, and then you're playing Pokemon, and you're sending out a whole bunch of Zelda monsters to kill other Zelda monsters. And it is fucking wild. It takes a lot of like aesthetic influence from the Link's Awakening remake that came out a couple years back. This gives it a huge boost in my eyes because the original Link's Awakening was one of my favorite games of all time. And so just anything that leans into, like, Zelda as a series is also one of my favorites of all time. So unsurprisingly, this already has a huge leg up in my books. But it also kind of blends a lot of that grid-based gameplay with the creativity that came out of games like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. And it has led to me throwing, flaming slimes into a field of grass to light everything on fire, summoning a wolf to run through the flames, catch on fire, and attack something while burning alive. Ingenious. Just incredible gameplay. If you're even remotely interested in the aesthetics of Zelda, if you're interested in this series at all, and you have a creative mindset, I would highly recommend diving into this game, because it just leads to some wild situations. And honestly, the story has been really, really cute as well, which I'm happy to have more Zelda, and I'm excited to play more of it. I've just been playing so many other things. And that includes one of the other games that I played this month. For spooky, scary Halloween season, we decided to go through and play the remake for Resident Evil 4. It was my first time ever running through any of the Resident Evil games. I've had some tangential exposure to the series. I watched the Let's Play of, I think, Resi 8 Village, the most recent one. And that's about it. So I was going in fairly blind. My partner, though, had experienced the series before, and Resi 4 was one of her faves. So she was very excited to kind of relive it with me here. And I'm happy to report back that it is a good game. It is a very good game. I would highly recommend this game. From my understanding, when it comes to the Resident Evil series, it was one of the Resident Evil 4, when it first came out, was one of the first to break away from the traditional style of Resident Evil, the tank controls and kind of slower, more methodical, to kind of lean into more of an action packed kind of cheesy adventure. Well, I guess the whole series has been kind of cheesy. That's part of its bread and charm, but it really, really leans into it here. Your main character, Leon Kennedy, I think is fully aware that he is in a schlocky horror, super campy, super cheesy horror action movie, and plays into it. He spits out one-liners. He runs around just a fool. The whole goal of the game is to recapture. Well, actually, here, do y'all have any experience with Resi 4?
None whatsoever.
I have the little bit that I believe we played with a friend of ours that we would come over, watch anime and play something, but we never got very far into it.
So, you're there to rescue a very important individual. Do y'all know who that individual is offhand? Because if not, I can tell you their code name, and you would never guess, based off their code name, who they would be. Okay, so we have... You're going into this spooky, scary village because someone has been kidnapped. The code name for that person is Baby Eagle.
President's daughter?
It absolutely is the president's daughter, but it's a super secret code name, so no one's ever going to guess who it is. And just like shit like that through the entire game. It was honestly a joy. It got me spooked in a couple of places. It got me pumped in a bunch of areas. I think for the most part, the remake is phenomenal. Like, it looks genuinely incredible. It plays super well. It definitely still has some of those survival horror aspects. Like, there's certain encounters where I was just purely afraid. I was running for my fucking life at any given opportunity. Then there are others where you're just like dumped into a village with like a handful of ammo and you just have to survive. It's great. It really encourages like ammo conservation and just playing in a bunch of different ways too, because once you go through and beat the game, there's a ton of extra like challenges that exist within the game itself. From like, hey, do a run where you beat the entire thing with a final rank of S. Like your typical go through without dying a whole bunch of times, or like make sure you kill a whole bunch of people, do it super fast. All that gets you points, which increases your rank. So you have to do that in the best possible way. Or go through the entire game without talking to the merchant a single time. Go through the entire game using only your knife. And just wild stuff like that. And by doing that, you're unlocking new apparel stuff, new outfits. I think when you beat the game, you get like a pinstripe suit that Leon can wear as he runs through. It's fun. It's a blast. I would highly recommend Resi 4.
I've wanted to get into the Resident Evil franchise because like every time one of the games is released, there's a lot of hype and like a lot of people talking about it. But I never get around to it. So hopefully I can change that at some point, because I do want to go through and play Village, because I did at least watch like a few hours of gameplay of that whenever it originally came out. So we'll have to see what my time allots.
You can admit you just want the big vampire mommy. That's okay.
No. Actually, I'm one of the few people that does not have a kink for Lady D, whatever, however you pronounce her name. Dimitrescu or something like that.
So Walker, I'm gonna ask you a question. Do I need to play any of the previous entries in this franchise, or is this a good place to just hop in?
So, I'm going to answer this as honestly as possible. I have no fucking idea. I do not know.
I think I have a little bit of context on this, actually. And I could be totally wrong, so I would do your research before anything first. But I'm pretty sure, other than, like, the last couple, each of them is, like, anthological?
An anthology?
Yeah, it's an anthology where, like, each one doesn't matter except for, like, a certain few. Like, I know Biohazard leads into Village.
Yeah.
I want to say there's probably at least one or two other connecting games, sets somewhere in the 8 games they've made now. So I would look it up, but I'm pretty sure you'd be able to start from any of at least, like, you'd probably be able to pick out like 5 of them to start from and be completely fine. But like I said, I would do your research. Don't take it from me 100%. The only thing I know 100% is Biohazard does lead in the Village.
Yeah. And so with the little bit of context that I do have, there are like characters and stuff that get introduced. There's references that are made that I don't understand. Like, there's a couple points where a character will walk on screen and it's supposed to be like some big reveal, and I have no idea who it is. There's a couple of people who I have seen who I've picked up through like just general cultural osmosis that like I know they exist within the canon of Resi, but I don't know how. But for the most part, I did not struggle jumping directly into 4. I do know, though, that this is not the first game that Leon is the main character in. You can see, like, his origin story in Resi 3, I believe. Because he goes from, I think, like, a police officer in Raccoon City, which is the big, like, hot spot for a lot of those early games. And then in Resi 4, he is working with the government. So he's gone up in the world a little bit there. But yeah, honestly, I feel like you can jump right in. You're probably missing out on a little bit of context, but it's not horrific.
Awesome. I'll put it on my list.
And the remake is very, very good.
Oh, would you recommend playing the original or the remake then?
I haven't played the original. I have no idea. I say I haven't played. I played like 30 minutes of the original. So I think the remake, because that's what I played, I'm going to recommend it. But I think that's purely because, you know, gaming as a general landscape has developed over the years. And so that, like, a lot of the, like, developments, kind of the general gameplay shorthand that we've learned in a lot of cases, you know, yellow means break this thing. There's a lot of like camera fixes and stuff like that. From what I know, Resi 4 still stands very well on its own, but the remake kicks ass. So again, do your research, make your own decision. But the remake was fun.
All right.
And I know I've chatted for a bit, so we can make this a fairly short section here.
I can go next to give you all a break.
Go for it.
So that I can talk about Cyberpunk, and then y'all can hit the Astro Bot.
I was going to drag us into Hollow Knight for a little bit.
Oh.
But if you want to shift away from that, we can.
Yeah, I can.
I played Hollow Knight. It was good.
Well, no, we're gonna get more than that in a bit. All right, so now I guess I'm going to go ahead and talk about Cyberpunk 2077. Guys, it's not very often that you can put 45 hours into a game and feel like you haven't even fucking touched it. This is one of those games. I've only completed the first act, which is very short in the game. The second and the third are much longer than the first. I don't even know where in the story I'm at, like, percentage-wise. But I've just been going around with my cyber hacking and my silence pistol headshotting fools and loving it. The city is so vibrant and really aesthetically pleasing. And I'm so glad that I decided to play this game. My only regret is I wish I had a 4K monitor so I could play it in 4K, because I've seen it in 4K now, and that shit looks real, man. Oh my god. It'd be insane to play this game in 4K. It already looks so fucking good. As far as just the gameplay, it's the same genre as fucking Skyrim, man. Like I'm just doing a reskinned version of the stealth archer build.
I will say that's on you, because there are a lot of viable ways to play Cyberpunk.
Oh yeah, I know, but like I just naturally trend towards that. I'm not saying that it's a reskin in a bad way. By all means, I'm having a fucking blast and it's super fun. I'm just like, man, how does it, like every game that's like this, I end up just going stealth archer, stealth archer or stealth range at least. Whenever I cyber hack people, like usually I'm killing the entire group before the trace. Their ability to trace me even like hits 50%, and I'm just like wiping a group of 7 from afar that I around a corner that I can't even see. I'm just sitting there. I peek around the corner, pop like 1 or 2 cyber hacks, and then wait, and then just hear them all coughing and dying, and then see the trace meter go, and then trace failed. Then I walk around the corner, and I go collect my items. And there's there's a lot of like different storylines going on. I stumbled into my first relationship sex scene on accident. Like this random military lady was like, can you send it over the phone or do we need to meet in person? And I was like, probably best to meet in person, because I thought it like, oh, this is probably something important. Let's give it over. And then it ends up with several flashing, like quick flashing scenes, and she's all over me, I'm all over her, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. How did this happen? But apparently, like, there are numerous characters you can romance in this game.
Did you get the unique weapon?
I don't know what you're talking about, honestly.
The military lady that you sleep with, there is a unique melee weapon in the room once you're finished the deed.
Oh, God. I'm guessing
it's only available after you have sex with her.
Oh, man. No, I guess I missed that one. I'm guessing it has something like very similar to do with Saints Row's most notorious weapon.
I don't remember. But I don't remember.
Well, here, let me just...
I know exactly what you're talking about. The dildo sword.
Yes, the penetrator.
The penetrator, but...
Okay, no, I did not get that weapon.
Have you played... I guess you probably haven't gotten to Phantom Liberty yet, have you?
No, I'm completely going in blind on the original story first. I've cleared one of the districts of literally everything you can do there, and I've started on the second one. And very rarely am I like, it's time to go do a mission. It's been a while, so I'm going through completionist style playing this game, and honestly, I haven't grown bored of it. It's just I haven't had time to put because whenever I start, I don't want to play it for only like 30 minutes. I want to play it for like 2 hours. So like I haven't had time to go and play it lately, which will probably change after tonight, honestly, because I need some sort of serotonin while I'm looking at this election.
Yeah. So the Phantom Liberty DLC, I would say, is a solid step above the rest of the game. That's not to put the rest of the game down. The DLC is incredible.
Yeah, I mean,
so look forward to it.
Oh yeah, it was supposed to be. It almost won like Game Awards last year for a DLC, which is crazy. So yeah, I definitely knew about it going in that it was a good DLC, and I planned on getting it whenever I beat the game. I'm definitely going to be doing that now. As far as
did you? Oh, never mind. You just said you romanced the military chick, so you haven't had you haven't had a serious romance yet.
No, okay. I don't think so, at least.
Okay, no, you would know.
That's fair. I think the one bad thing about the game, I don't like the driving.
Hey, that's what I said. If you go back to when I talked about Cyberpunk, the thing I said was, I love the game, I hate the driving.
And they do a lot of they do a lot of fast forwarding for you as well. Like, you have the option to skip ahead and skip ahead like in taxi rides, or anytime you're in a car being driven by someone else, and or just like fast traveling, jumping from place to place. But it almost feels like a crime to do that with just how like rich the aesthetic is. And you go down a street and everything's glowing in neon, and you're watching all these people dressed in this. I mean, it's cyberpunk, in cyberpunk attire, and you're like, this is cool. Like, this is just, it's so cool, so much fun, just walking around the place and seeing what you find.
Give you a tip, which is that the motorcycle controls work a little bit better,
I do know that.
At least for me. I think once I got access to a bike, I don't know that I drove a car again.
The only thing is, I like how the cars look better than the bike does. So
That's very fair.
Sometimes I'm like, I'm trading off today. I'll ride the bike because I'm going for business today. Other times I'm like, hoo, cool car. I'm gonna drive it around and crash it a couple times because I don't know how to do this. The gunplay is a lot of fun. I've already talked about like hacking. Hacking is a lot of fun. As far as the story, like I've already enjoyed the story a bit, and like the characters are really well fleshed out with a couple things that they've done. I tried to record so that I could like post this one on YouTube, this playthrough, And immediately, like 35 minutes in, first session, they're like tits flashing on the screen. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's not gonna work.
It's a mature game. Yeah.
Yes. This is the type of game that like I would like crack my bedroom door open to watch my dad playing back whenever I was a kid, because I'm like, ooh, adult game, it looks cool, and I'm having a blast with it. Hopefully, whenever I put another 100 hours into it, by the time of the next podcast, I'll have a lot more to say about it.
Walker, I think you mentioned a game called Hollow Knight.
Yeah, I played it. I played it. It's very good. Who would have thunk? I wish someone would have told me about this sooner. I really wish that someone would have been a champion for this game and really, really spoke up about the joys and fun that can come from it.
Yeah, who would have done that?
Sorry, I didn't take up your recommendation sooner, buddy. Well, in all honesty, I did play a little bit of this game a couple years ago now. I got up to the first Hornet fight, beat it, and was just like, okay, and kind of bounced off of it at that point.
Bounced off? You mean Horner bodied you?
No, I ended up beating her. They just kind of stopped there. I don't know what it was. She did whoop my ass though. I'm not gonna deny that, but let it be known that I did win. I just have this thing every now and then when I do play a good game. The same thing happened with Dishonored, a game that I fucking love. I find it really hard to pick up that game again sometimes and continue playing it, and then the further you get away from it, the harder it becomes. So I'm really glad that I went back for Hollow Knight here, because it has basically all the stuff that I'm really loving from the FromSoft games that I've been playing lately. Kind of heavy lore-based story with a lot left up to the interpretation of the individual player, and just vibes out the ass. Like, this game looks and just conveys such a specific emotion in me. Just the different areas, there is like a loneliness to it, but also still like a warmth of life that exists in this very like seemingly empty and dead world. But there's like, oh god, it's I find it hard to put into words because I haven't like scripted anything out here.
Tell me this, because after I played it the first time, I started going through and I would listen to like just a lot of like just like an hour of Hollow Knight ambiance and stuff like that, and like just that's just how the world makes you feel, and it makes you want to just like dive in and just like settle into it, as well as like just the combat is like so fluid, the movement is so fluid, and it's like, yeah, this game is just one of my favorites of all time.
This is a Metroidvania game. Brady, have you played a whole lot of like any Metroidvanias just in general?
I've played a handful, not the most.
Gotcha. No worries. I feel like oftentimes in a lot of Metroidvania style games, one of the earliest upgrades you get is the double jump, if it's not already included in your kit. This game did not have a double jump until like the last 5 hours of main story, which was insane to me. I know that you can get it sooner. It just depends on how you play through the game. Like, a lot of the upgrades and stuff are purely exploration based. There's some stuff that is locked behind other upgrades, but for the most part, you can, and you're kind of guided in a general direction. But for the most part, there's stuff that you can miss. Trent can attest. Like, there was an upgrade that allows you to. We're going to go into some spoilers here, right?
Yeah. Yeah, game's been out for a while.
Okay. There's an upgrade that allows you to traverse, like, this acid water or boiling hot water. I think it's just acid that exists throughout the kingdom that I didn't find until way the fuck later on. I just completely missed the area that it, you find the upgrade in, because the world is just built in such a way where you can feel like you're getting lost, but at the same time, there's just so much more stretched out before you, and you really do feel like you're getting a grip of the world and its intricacies, and like where to go, where not to go, because there's dangers that lie in wait there. Yeah, and just like Trent said, the combat and movement feels so fluid. A lot of the attacks, there's a rhythm that's built up to them, so you can like use the spacing between when your attacks go out to dash away or send like combo with your magic. That is one thing that I really, really enjoyed with the game is there is a component called soul, and you gain soul by making successful hits against an enemy. Gather the soul, and once you get enough of it, you can use it to either cast one of your damaging spells that you can find and unlock throughout the game. One's a projectile, and then two others are vertical, like upwards and downwards style like attacks. Or you can use that soul to heal and recover, like take a minute to recover health. And there's obviously pros and cons to every single style. You can either lean heavily into a lot of those different like magic-based attacks to deal a ton of damage that way. You can rely on that soul purely just for like recovery, but it takes a minute to recover. You don't just hit a button and you get your health back. You have to sit in the same spot, vulnerable, for maybe somewhere between half a second and a full second. It's not very long, but when you're in the heat of combat, it can overwhelm you very quickly. Especially when you start getting to the later boss fights of the game where they're dealing 2 hearts worth of damage per hit. But it's fun. It's a challenge that never feels too overwhelming. Discounting the DLCs, which I still have not completed yet. Specifically the God Home stuff, which is basically just a boss rush of upgraded bosses throughout the entirety of the game. So haven't quite done that one yet. But everything else, it feels so doable. And it, once again, scratches that little completionist itch, because once you get to the end of the game, it really encourages you to go back through and find everything that you've missed. You get to basically the doors of the final boss fight, and your last unlockable is the progression meter. You get a statistic on your screen out of 100%. It's actually 112, but who's really counting? But you get a percentage of how much of the game you've actually completed, how much you've explored, of all the collectibles that you found, bosses that you fought, so on and so forth. And it really kind of pushes you to go out and do more. And yeah, it's cool. I like the story in the game a lot. While it's not super like spelled out for you like most Souls-like games tend to be, it does a phenomenal job of just conveying a really lovely vibe the whole way through. The art in this game is beautiful. I love these little critters, these little bugs. They made me very happy and very sad. I love the environments that the little knight can run through. Good game. Highly recommend it. We shall see if a sequel ever does exist, which at this point I'm doubting.
Now Walker finally realizes why I've been so hungry for not just Silksong, just Silksong news. Just give us something, please. Communicate.
I rewatched the trailer, like the announcement trailer for Silksong. That already looks phenomenal. I can see why people have been foaming at the mouth for what is it now? 6 years?
Yeah.
Good game. Very, very high up on my personal rankings right now. One of the best games I've played this year. And I've played actually some pretty decent games this year. I was really worried about like what I would be ranking as my number one when we get to the end of the year. But I know that obviously Hollow Knight hasn't come out this year, but it is going to get an honorable recommendation from me. But something that I do know for a fact will be in my top 10 of the year is our next game on the list. Unless, Brady, did you have anything you wanted to mention before we dived in?
Astro Bot is my last game, too.
Astro Bot's great. I love this.
It's an incredible game. Oh.
Oh, my God.
I actually want to talk to like a little bit about it as well. Because like y'all have seen the experience that I've had with it. It was literally that bit that I played over at Walker's house whenever we got together last time. This game, the best the best comparison I can have to it is it feels like I'm playing an old GameCube game again, like for the first time.
It has so much, like, it shares so much blood with, it feels like a Sony's Mario game.
Yeah,
it really does.
Honestly, it feels like I'm playing Super Mario Sunshine for the first time again.
Yeah, 100%, especially with the little hover that the main guy gets, our little Astro Bot.
And I want to clarify, I don't think that's in a like copy or derivative way. I mean, obviously a little derivative. Any 3D platformer is going to be a little derivative of Mario.
Yeah.
I think it was just like that was the feeling I got from it. That's the style it was. I feel like this was its own.
It absolutely stands on its own two.
Absolutely stands on its own 2 feet, even though it is very much does trigger those feelings, and is very reminiscent of a lot of really good and classic games.
So, what is Astro Bot, Brady? You want to take us on?
So, yeah, Astro Bot, a while back, Sony made this system called the PlayStation. And eventually they made several versions of it as technology progressed. And was it the PS5 that launched about a year or two ago? And on the PS5, they had something called Astro's Playroom, which was kind of a tech demo for the new system, the new game PlayStation system that Sony developed.
Super cute little pack-in title. Just came with the system, let you test out some of the features of the controller.
Yeah, just kind of like a demo thing, not anything too detailed. And then earlier this year, Sony said, hey, you know that little game demo thing that came with the PlayStation? We made a whole game about it. And it's one of the best games of the year. This little demo game. Yeah, anything to add, Walker, that I missed?
I mean, yeah, it's so the main conceit of the game is you are playing as Astro, this cute little robot, very like chibi, just radiates joy and cuteness as he is exploring with many of his other friends, flying around the universe in his PlayStation 5 shaped ship, just exploring around, having good times, partying, dancing, doing little robot dude things. Then big bad alien guy shows up, grabs the PlayStation 5 out of the sky, tears it open, takes all the parts out of it, and throws it just away, and like just screws off and goes wherever else. And we rejoin our funky little hero as he is like stranded on a desert planet with a broken ship, and through your help, you are playing, I think, as like a combination of both Astro and the PlayStation 5 controller, which is like in canon like a little spaceship for him, but also kind of the controller for him. Anyway, you get back up, you dust yourself off, and you're heading out to rescue all of your crew and get your parts back from this big green alien guy. And that's it. You're just going through and having a great time, just collecting shit, running around, exploring the world, just enjoying a really tight 3D platformer collectathon game, which is one of my favorite genres of all time.
The mechanics were very smooth, very well designed, very interesting. Like a lot of the unique, like, you know, in any 3D platformer, as you progress, you get new transversal methods and new powers and skills and stuff. And I thought the ones in Astro Bot were really unique and fun. I like the balloon, like just blowing up and floating through the sky. I really loved punching people from 10 feet away.
Oh, the froggy gloves were fun.
With the froggy gloves.
I like the time slowdown mechanic.
Oh my gosh, that was really fun.
That was fun.
Where you freeze. Oh man, so much fun. I'm trying to think of what other ones there were that I'm missing.
There's a ton. It felt like every level had its own little power up. Oh, the rocket pooch. The rocket pooch was so fun.
dog.
You get a little dog guy, and he launches you in a straight line really fast. It's great because like these little mechanics are just kind of thrown into every single level. They don't overstay their welcome in any way, shape, or form. And every time you come across one, it's like, oh, here's a little like kind of game-breaking mechanic for this one specific level. Have fun. And yeah, I mean, just have fun. Every bit of this game is fun. It just radiates so much joy and happiness the whole time. Oh gosh, sorry. There's more I want to dive into, but please continue talking for a little bit.
Just to loop back real quick to the power-ups. I looked up a list, and there's also my favorite power-up is one that we didn't talk about, which is the micro mouse shrinker, where you press a button and it's Ant-Man. You become Ant-Man.
Yeah.
And obviously, the game designs the levels around these power-ups. So on the Ant-Man level, you're running around platforms, but when you shrink, you can hop into the platforms, which are little rooms, and run through someone's backyard into their bedroom and shrink down under the bed, go into the covers, and find the secret coins, and you know, standard platformer stuff. The level design that they made in Astro Bot was really fun, and the way they integrated the level with the power-ups. You could tell a lot of thought went into the designing the levels and the abilities.
Each aspect of this game, it feels like, was polished to perfection.
So like, polished.
There's several rooms in the game that feel like they just exist to show off the PlayStation. Because, like, you get through one level that's styled after, like, a ancient tomb, right? You go through, you get to the very end, and you can break through and find a secret room just absolutely filled to the brim with individual diamonds everywhere. Like, tons of different instances of the same thing that in any other game probably would have caused the console to catch fire. But here, you can interact with every single one of them. You can do this cute little spin attack and launch these gems everywhere. Each one makes a jingling sound effect as it goes flying in different different directions, reflecting light all different ways. It's incredible, like genuinely impressive how they were able to make all of this work and exist and be so snappy as well. Like the loading between levels took no time at all. Being able to just jump right in anywhere you wanted to. It felt like you were constantly unlocking shit one way or the other. We haven't even mentioned the bots, the main collectible of the game. You're going
oh my god,
and rescuing the fellow crew members of Astro. But it's not just other little bots that look like him. Some of them are Sony mascots. In fact, a lot of them are Sony mascots. And not just mascots, but also the most obscure things you will ever hear.
Yeah, it seems like they just said, hey, let's make cute chibi robot designs of every Sony exclusive character and make a game about collecting them from a Mario-style 3D platformer. Because they truly, more than half, like 200 out of the 300 unique bots that you have to collect are like individual Sony characters or PlayStation characters, not just basic bots. Like off the top of my head, Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War.
You had a whole bunch of Resident Evil characters.
Tons of Resident Evil characters. Ratchet and Clank.
Ratchet and Clank, Crash Bandicoot.
There were so many that I didn't recognize, too.
Mm-hmm. There was a bunch that are just from, like, Japanese exclusive games that only ever came out, like, and were never localized. There's tons from, like, you know, even, like, Persona. Like, games that are big now. Like, Joker is one of the ones that you can find throughout the world.
Yeah.
You know, there were references to the Souls series. I think there were 2 different Souls characters that were in these. There was, oh god, it just kind of goes on. Lara Croft. You can find her. You can find the Ape Escape dudes with a bunch of apes.
Y'all mentioned Kratos yet?
Yeah, I mean, Kratos is there. And what's more is, like, a handful of these characters This gets into a little bit of spoilers, so cover your ears, Trent, if you want to preserve yourself for like 15 seconds as I rant here. But when you get to the end of the galaxy and beat like a big boss monster, you unlock one of the big mascot characters. And that character takes you to a new planet where you basically play that game for a little while. The very first one you get is Ape Escape. Like, in this regard, is Ape Escape. And you're taken to another planet where you have to run around catching apes. Like, fully, like, the mechanic transfers over and you basically play the game for a little bit. There's so much love and compassion, it feels like, for these individual characters that is thrown in and just, like, maxed out, it feels like.
Yeah, no, I don't have much to add to that. That's a pretty good summation. There's a lot of, again, as someone who's played both God of War and Horizon Zero Dawn, and what were so there were like 4 flagship characters that you got to play as. One was Ape Escape, one was Kratos, God of War, one was Horizon Zero Dawn. What was the other one?
Nathan Drake. You did Uncharted.
Oh, Uncharted, yes. Yeah, and it wasn't exact one-to-one mechanic transfers. They kind of integrated the mechanic into the style of the game.
Right.
But really faithfully, for the ones I saw. I never played Ape Escape, but God of War and Horizon Zero Dawn and Uncharted were all pretty good transpositions.
Mm-hmm.
Have you collected all 300 of the bots?
I have.
Have you collected the last bot?
Holy fuck, yes. As is tradition with any good platformer game, at the very, very end of it all, after you've proven yourself and beaten every level and completed it, there is an ultimate challenge waiting for you at the very end. It's not too terrible. What's that? Oh yeah, you're good.
No, I've been listening. I was saying the Dark Side of the Moon.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah. And you have to basically just complete a super long platforming challenge in one go. Just, again, so much fun. It was really funny because we got to the end after, I think, a couple hours, I think. It wasn't too terribly long. It was maybe an hour and a half. Because Em and I were playing, we were passing the controller back and forth between the different levels. But on this one, it felt special, so we passed back and forth between lives. So at the very end, we got to the very end, and after all this trial and tribulation, we get to him, we hit him, it's like, I have no idea who the fuck this is. I don't know who I just wasted an hour and a half to get, but it was a blast.
Yeah. No, very fun game, very good, fulfilling, rewarding ending.
Mm-hmm.
And I love just walking around seeing all my guys.
Yeah, and you can get little things for your little guys, which is fun because you can.
I love rocking up to the last mission in a fully gold suit with a fully gold controller, just a baller.
Oh my gosh, because in most Mario games you can or most platformers you can collect coins, but they're mostly nothing items. They're mostly used just to accumulate enough, get 1-ups. But here you actually are accumulating them. You're adding them to your wallet. And then
get some cosmetics. Yeah, you can pop over into the gacha shop and just drop your entire life savings into the gachapon. And they do a really good job integrating some mechanics that the controller has in it. The controller has resistance on its triggers that can be added in sometimes. So it really you have to push the trigger hard. It sounds super dumb, but until you actually get your hands on it and mess with it. It was another way that Sony really made this as a tech demo for all the things that the PlayStation can do. It's just a really a lot. I noticed a lot of motion stuff with the controller, not necessarily part of the gacha game, but as part of as an end cap to each little act. You had to do a lot of motion stuff on the controller. A lot of the flying missions.
Yeah.
They really used the full range of the technical capabilities that they had.
Which is
with the system, which was really fun to watch.
Whenever you collect a bot, your bots are stored inside your controller. Your controller will pop up on screen and it drops the bot into it, and it has full tracking for the controller, so you can move the controller left and right and up and down and flip it around, and the controller on screen will exactly mirror, even up to if you're making inputs on the controller. So you're moving your joystick up and down, the joysticks will follow in. If you take the controller and kind of quickly raise it into the air and like quickly kind of do like a little fling motion, all the bots that are stored inside your controller will fly out of the controller and fall back in. Again, it's just little details that feel so cute and so fun. Mm-hmm. This game is just a bundle of fun.
Yeah, very fun game. Highly recommend.
And like I was alluding to earlier, it is a compact experience. It was maybe 20 to 30 hours at most. Like, it really was not long.
And it's one of those games you can pick up and set down.
Yeah, absolutely. You can run through 1 or 2 levels, and it'll only take you a couple minutes of time. Put it down, and just have this little like beacon of joy waiting for you that you can loop back around to.
All right. Well, I think that's all I had.
Astro Bot's going to have to be one that I play as well pretty soon. I guess I have access to my roommate's PS5, so maybe I'll pick that one up as part of the next and last segment, which I probably will only be like 5-10 minutes. I want to know like what games are y'all planning to play that still came out this year, or are like planning to come out, and I just want to lead off with the fact that Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket came out not too long ago. I have not downloaded it yet simply because my boss was out of town all last week and I was like super busy, but I'm going to be downloading that and playing it at some point. Are y'all interested at all in the Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket?
Not particularly.
Really?
A little bit. There was a little bit.
I don't love mobile games.
That's fair.
Yeah, but you've also had no one to play mobile games with. If you have friends that play it. All I'm saying is you should try it.
Not a fan of mobile games.
Let me see. Let me pop open the upcoming games list.
I know exactly what I'm playing for at least the next couple of weeks out of the year.
Oh yeah, Veilguard.
I'm finishing Veilguard, and then probably, no joke, the rest of the year is going to be for Metaphor ReFantasio.
All right.
Because I don't know that I'll be able to finish it before the start of next year.
Well, I mean, can't really complain too much. That sounds like it's been a blast. And I've heard really good things about Metaphor. So
I only have good things to say so far. What about you, Trent?
I have that Black Myth Wukong game that I still need to get to. I'm excited to play that one. And then I also went and found the dates for the Golden Idol sequel. It's The Rise of the Golden Idol, and it comes out November 12th. So next week.
Really?
Yeah.
God.
So there you go, Walker. You could get in on that. And I'll probably join you as well because I don't think they're very long games.
I don't believe so. No, I mean, we haven't really spent that. I mean, spent maybe a grand total of 2 hours in it, and I feel like we're about halfway through. I could be wrong, though. I'm just going based off of vibes. Yeah, I will absolutely be playing that once we finish Golden Idol.
And then the only other things I see that might be anything. What have do y'all have any opinions on the new Mario Party at all?
Oh, it looks fun.
Mario Party?
I'll play it. It's Mario Party.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. Honestly, if I had a normal Switch, which honestly I'm depending on how much my Christmas bonus is, I might cop and get a normal Switch because I would play some fucking Mario Party with you guys.
Dude, you know what we do need to play? Pico Park 2 dropped this year.
Oh shit! Yeah, we gotta play that.
Oh yeah, did we start that? I don't.
No, we waited because we wanted to make sure everyone was there.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not seeing a whole lot for like upcoming games. This year's been nice. Like the games that have come out have been pretty dang good, but it doesn't feel like a whole lot has come out.
Yeah, I'm honestly a little worried that the end of the year discussion, like we might not have full list of 10 to go.
Yeah. Maybe then we can incorporate ones that.
Well, if you remember, we had stated last time that we'll do a top 10 that we played this year, and then have like the separate list for the games that came out this year.
Yeah.
That we will take those and decide there on what we think the game of the year is for us. Mario and Luigi Brothership. If you played any of the Mario and Luigi RPGs back as a kid.
Squirrel with a Gun came out. Anyone touched that yet?
Not yet. I need to, though.
Squirrel with a Gun looks fun as fuck, honestly.
Oh, it looks dumb as hell, but I love shit like that.
Depending on how my gotcha itch goes, Genshin Impact does come to Xbox November 20th. And as much as I've seen of that game, like I've always like been like, Trent, you can't afford to play that game. Trent, you can't afford to play the game. And I'm just like, but what if you played it as a free player? And I'm like,
That's how they get you.
I've just had a gotcha itch, especially since that Zenless Zone Zero game that came out this year. They dropped one of their newest characters, a little music video that she's in, and she is adorable, and I love her. Her name's Bernice. She's the fire lady. Y'all have probably seen her around somewhere. If not, I'll show you the video. But I've never had the urge to download a gotcha game for a single character so bad. It's great. But we'll keep our finger on the pulse for surprise releases. I'm still not counting out a Silk Song release this year.
I would, buddy. That you would be bold.
I
to
mean,
still hope.
I'm not counting out that Bernie Sanders wins the presidential election today, but, it's not going to happen, no matter if I count it out or not.
Oh, don't. You made me look at the thing again.
All I'm saying is every now and then we're still getting updates on, like, the Xbox registry and the Steam files and stuff like that for it. All I'm saying is they're just not communicating. That's the issue, guys. They're not communicating. Tell us!
All right. Well, I guess you can survive on your copium addiction for a little bit longer.
Yeah. Until next time, though, that's going to do it for us today here, guys. Thank y'all for joining. Thank you for listening in. Any final words from either of you guys?
No, I'm going to go back to finishing up Zelda and Bloodborne. Two diametrically opposed games, but I'm a complex individual. I'm a human being.
We promise we will not kill ourselves at Renfest this week whenever we all get together again. Right, guys?
I mean, yeah.
I guess.
It's going to be fun. I'm really excited.
Yeah,
we're going to have a blast.
Until next time, guys, thank you for watching us. Y'all have a fantastic evening, and we'll catch you on the next wavelength. Goodbye.
Bye.